There's victims who are not actively involved. And then there's predators who are actively involved. See, here's the difference between the two. The cutters get on and, well, the victims, I should say. Not all of them are cutters. They get on and they tell me they understand. They type about their experience a bit, which, when I'm talking about experiences, they're experiences that many people understand. Many people know because they've been there. Nobody was there for them. That lady who calls herself Bloody Mary, she shared her experiences. Of course, we have to be afraid, don't we? So people use a different name than their own. The victims have to be afraid to speak up. The victims tend to say they're sorry all the fucking time. That's the problem with people that are a victim mentality. People with a victim mentality say they're sorry. Or they push it off on Jesus because they're cowardly. And they want you to understand why they're cowardly. Nobody was there for them. They tried to speak up, they tried to stand up for themselves, but they didn't matter. Not to their own families, not to their friends. Before you pawn your friends off on suicide hotline, understand that between pawning them off on suicide hotline and listening to them as a friend would, understand that suicide hotline will give you 15 minutes max. 15 minutes is the cutoff point. All of my predators get to prey on my communication disabilities. They can tell that I'm having those communication disabilities. That I'm easy to talk over when I'm alone. That they can be disrespectful when I'm alone. They can talk down to me and lie to me about what the laws are when I'm alone. I've walked into places with cameras where I was told it was a felony by the staff there to record. They changed their tune immediately once the recordings were on, though. When they knew it was being recorded. A lot of these nursing staff about recordings, they're so used to just doing as they're told and following instructions and not following the laws, that when somebody is actually intelligent enough to show up and record it, they don't know what the fucking rules are. They have to go ask someone else. They don't even know what you're allowed to do. They'll just lie to you about what you're allowed to do based on them not wanting you to do something. Now, the threats, harassment, and intimidation by law enforcement here does need to be documented. I've been documenting the actual events and the actual words on my Facebook. Not just here, but nationwide. I've also been pointing out a lot of heroes, like Waidoku. And I know that's not his real name, but it's close enough. He's into anime. So, when I was on a bus, there was a racist on it. And the bus driver was afraid of getting in trouble if he left that racist who was threatening him and threatening other passengers. He was afraid of leaving that passenger there because he thought he'd get in trouble. No, that didn't happen. I was making a post about that racist asshole, and that racist asshole ended up and started shit with Werdoku. He's got a YouTube channel, by the way. You know what it took for people to stand up to that racist instead of everybody just murmuring about how much it sucked being stuck on the bus with that guy? Well, the people at the front of the bus were able to hear that stuff, talking about it. I was at the back of the bus, so I didn't get to hear that guy being a racist until we got off the bus. And boy, was it thick and heavy. So there was two people who stood up for the bus driver at the very beginning. That was me and Werdoku. And because we stood for him, the rest of the passengers stood up for him. That's one of the situations where I think to myself, damn, I'm lucky. And damn, these passengers are lucky. Because it only would have taken one of us, with all those people there that wanted to do the right thing, but they were afraid to be the first one to try it. They were afraid to be the first one to stand up to that racist, especially since he was talking about stabbing people. Well, apparently, Werdoku... Oh, sorry, it said something went wrong. Anyway, Werdoku, if I hadn't been there, he still would have did what he did. And if he hadn't been there, I still would have done what I did. Most of the time, in those situations, there's only one person who speaks up, and it is me. Like the situation when Jamie was assaulted. Another thing is, we can't allow it to just be their words versus mine. If they investigate and they talk to these witnesses, and then they look at the evidence includes the words of those witnesses. So if the witnesses change their minds, we need to know why. We need to ask why. Because an event only happens one way. What I want is to be able to lay down, go to sleep, and never wake up. You can't hurt me anymore if that happens. It's easy to judge me based off of the decisions that you're allowed to see. These web sleuth groups only show one side. They only try showing one side. But unlike these true crime channels, my channel does include the actual truth, including the imperfections of all of us. Selfish motivations, You get to see what people care about. I care about human beings, especially those at the bottom being kicked around like they're nothing. Even those who kick me in the teeth and stab me in the back, I still love them. If they need my help, I'll still help them because I'm an idiot. I used to go with people to their appointments so that they were less likely to get blown off, and we were pretty successful. These people have given me the resource list around in fucking circles for 6 years. Same thing no matter what state it is. They're allowed to get away with whatever they want here. Same thing in Portland, but for different reasons. Here they use the excuse of they don't have enough people to do the job. Of course, you got to hear Chris on my channel just a few hours ago talking about being messed with over at the car wash. 5 cops showed up. I don't know what the situation was with as far as whether or not that lady was okay with being sprayed, but obviously she wasn't as not okay with it as the person who called it in. Anyway, I'm tired of running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm tired of having to beg people to look at evidence before my predators are able to destroy it. I'm tired of being gaslighted until I have a mental breakdown and then treated like I'm a monster for having a mental breakdown. Something all these people know how to do is how to traumatize somebody with PTSD. How to shut them down and how to talk over them and make them feel completely disrespected and afraid to speak. None of these agencies here have taken the situation seriously because none of them are looking at the evidence. What are the chances of any of them actually looking at the evidence or assisting me with that? I'd say absolutely none without a friend or family member. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. We the people means we, not just your group. If you want special rights for just your group, you don't deserve any rights. I fight for equal rights. I also show the stupidity and animosity of human beings over stupid and trivial shit like gender or nation of origin. People tend to victimize whoever it's easiest for them to victimize. The people who others are least likely to care about. Also, I think instead of calling it the friend zone, which is entirely sexist, I think we should call it the mule zone because it's closer to the reality of the situation. You're not for dating. Assholes are. You're for bailing them out when they get done having fun with an asshole and it's not fun anymore. When will she give you a chance as far as dating? When she's pregnant. And she realizes that the bad boy she's been having fun with, that's right, fun, done got her pregnant but ain't daddy material. Well, she had her fun, and now it's time to be angry about it. There's consequences to having that kind of fun. There's also consequences to manipulating people. There's a difference between maliciously manipulating people, like Maddie Boa, Natalie Bollinger, and Alicia Bollinger did. And, of course, having to try to convince people to tell the fucking truth instead of being fucking cowards. This ain't my first rodeo. And for most of the victims on my channel, it ain't their first rodeo either. For most of my predators, it ain't their first rodeo. These people all know exactly what they're doing. The whole, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Wrong fucking answer. These people know exactly what they're doing. These officers of the law all know what the job that they're supposed to perform is. But they won't do it. They won't do their job for an at-risk and disabled homeless person. We don't matter. We're not people to you. Alright, I can't find my cane. In the United States, we censor certain words. Censorship is immoral. To tell somebody that they can't tell the truth about a situation is immoral. To hobble disabled people by denying them their human rights over being disabled is fucking unconscionable. And every one of you who watch my channel, who don't speak up, only speak up for yourselves And don't bother to try to speak out for other victims. You are the most selfish pieces of shit on the planet. You use your cowardice as an excuse to be a coward to others. You use the cowardice of your mother as an excuse to be a coward to your own daughters. You want to say one thing and do another and have no consequences for it. You want to be completely hypocritical. And this is not fucking okay. Ugh. Ugh. A lot of y'all are nice people that talk about being people's friends. But you guys, look how much time you spend fighting for the attention of popular and good-looking people. Well, you say you're sorry to me. You're showing me two things. Number one, you're a survivor of abuse, and number two, you're a coward. The first one I can forgive, but the second one, I cannot. You were abused. I can forgive you for that because there is nothing to forgive. You shouldn't have to say sorry for being abused. But the second part, when somebody else is being abused, and rather than be a friend and help them to turn it in, you want to say you're sorry? You're not sorry there either, not unless you change your behavior. There's a lot of behaviors I refuse to say I'm sorry for. I am sorry that they were necessary. I am sorry that I'm the only one who had the balls to do those things. I'm not sorry for what other people did to you. I'm not sorry for that. I didn't fucking do that to you. I'm not sorry for Ted Bollinger raping his daughter. I'm not sorry for Tim Beeson raping Natalie or beating on her or holding her down and screaming in her face and telling her she can have her dog back when she takes him back. And all of this, one thing is for certain. Nobody cared about me. When I try to tell people what's going on, they can't stop to listen to it, and now it's extremely complicated. The problem with mandated reporters is that they don't think that it's their job. It absolutely is. A lot of places that I'm being sent to, I'm being sent to these places because they're mandated reporters, and they're supposed to do that job. When I'm sent in a fucking magical circle, a giant fucking circle jerk of government goddamn agencies, each one wiping the ass of the next. The whole thumb up the prostate maneuver. Some people got bigger thumbs than others. When a woman makes false claims because she didn't get what she wanted, you're screwed unless you record it. I did everything I could to get people to understand, hey, if you don't go in with me, they will operate under color of law. Also, in situations of abuse against an at-risk adult, especially abuse like this, there's literally no statute of limitations. The laws that'll be changed if Laura Nelson decides that she's done being a coward. The laws that'll change if Amanda DeMette decides that she is done being a coward. I was hoping that those women would work together. Kind of like black parents are now starting to work together to protect the children in their neighborhood from law enforcement. Well, these parents of autistic children have nearly all expressed how afraid they are of getting their children taken if they speak up. That's one of those burden things, one of those man's expectations things. If you say certain key words, we're all supposed to bow down and just take abuse. Oh, I'm afraid for my son. I'm afraid these people in chapel will hurt my son. I'm afraid it'll affect my business. That these predators will stop spending their money here if I tell the truth. Well, Laura, that says more about you as a person than anything else. The resources that I had before Natalie died would have been sufficient if I'd have had just one friend or family member who actually cared. Telling somebody you love them doesn't actually mean you love them. It has been my experience that most of the time when someone tells me they love me, they want something. When I tell somebody I love them, it's because I love them. I'm not motivated by sex. And I get treated like I'm a monster because I'm not motivated by sex. I get treated like I'm a fucking pervert because other people didn't feel that because of their gender that they should have to take no as an answer. That if they wouldn't get what they wanted right when they wanted it, that they should have the right to slander my name, resulting in people harming me. Meanwhile, while Natalie Marie Bollinger was pretending that I might abuse her, I was actually being abused. While she pretended that I stalked her because she was embarrassed I wasn't just being stalked, I was being stalked by groups of people. Groups of people who weren't thinking right because they were on fucking drugs. Meanwhile, there needed to be someone to help me to do these things because I could not do them for myself. It is not okay for the police to make a disabled and at-risk adult with no resources do their fucking jobs. You ignore the victims until they want their lives to end, and then you chastise them and berate them and harm them for speaking up. How dare you give out people's personal information? Fuck you, it's not their personal information. It's their fucking cowardice. It's the way that they chose to treat me. The things that they chose to tell me, to manipulate me because they just simply didn't care. Not one person ever actually tried fighting for my fucking rights other than me. Literally everybody who said that they would fight for my fucking rights went out of their way to show that under no circumstances whatsoever were they ever actually interested in keeping their words. Imagine how much cleaner it would be if your father could go to a booth, sit down in it, press a magic button, and all of his pain goes away. Imagine that versus the alternative. He's going to do it either way. Would you rather your siblings find him without a head? Or would you rather he did it in a booth where you don't have to be traumatized by seeing the effects of a shotgun blast to the human face? I think about Aaron, who used to work at the Starbucks in Boulder, Colorado. I started escorting everybody out to the garbage cans because some homeless people cornered him with knives and were threatening to kill him. He put a shotgun through his face too. And then Tom found him. When the window is black with flies, you don't go in. When the window is black with flies, you call 911. But if they had booths, there'd be no flies. There'd be no flies on the window. There would be no image in your head of your father without one, or your brother, or your son. How many of my friends invested time into helping me to turn this in? And how many invested time into arguing with me or ignoring me? Blowing me off and procrastinating. Making false promises. Or playing let's make a deal. Until myself and my things are in a subservient environment of empty promises. And then I'm trapped there. And all the promises go down the window. And it's do as I say or I shall punish thee, Sean. Well, woo-hoo. Let me see if I could properly quote a movie for you. Semper Fi, Master Sergeant. That's not the one I was thinking of, but it's close enough and it's less vulgar. Although in the video games, I guess it would be Semper Fi, Master Chief. And that's what we idolize. Video games full of shooting. You get to hear I'm going to people because I need help, and their solution is to not go to the police, ignore the police. They talk about how they would kill people over and over and over again, and they don't stop to think about how that affects me. I need the pain to stop. I'm stuck out here afraid all the time because I'm stuck by myself all the time. No friends or family all the time. And remember, talking nicely doesn't make us friends. I'm the one fighting for your rights, though. Remember that. I'm fighting for your rights, not the other way around. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. Every goddamn one of you who helped my fucking predators get away. Every fucking one of you, including Adult Protective Services and the Department of Health and Human Services for repeatedly not doing their fucking jobs.